Well, I decided to do another video, show another one of my knives. Here's the box to it, so you can see what it is pretty easy. Bark River, another one of my Bark Rivers. Like I said, I'm going to show all them, and I've got 15 of them. Bravo Squad Leader Coca-Cola with mosaic pins. Start out with the sheath because it's a unique sheath, and to even pull it out, I'll show you the difference in the sheath. Well, it's ambidextrous, so you can put this sheath on either side, although this far still loops on that side, and if you want it in the back, it's going to be right hand carry. If you left hand carry it, you far stills in the front. I don't know if that matters, but the difference in this sheath than the other regular ones is that this part right here swivels around to keep from getting cut. On the other ones, I'll try to show on another knife I got here since I have it handy. This is a Bravo 1.5, but it had that little notch right there that just hooks into to keep that out of the way, and you can draw the knife. But now this is a good new sheath, stiff new sheath. Once they get a little bit of wear on them, they don't want to hold back there too good. But anyway, that's the concept on this one. And you can see how that's shaped down here to be really to be carried a certain way. But this part down here makes it where it looks the same either way, all except this loop. So anyway, fairly good made sheath. One of the Bark River sheaths. This got thick leather, and I've had this knife quite a while. It's a pretty good sheath overall from what I can tell. One thing about it, I can't show this on video really, but don't have any way to get what I'm saying on video. But if you could see better right here, there's nothing behind this. It just goes all the way through. If you was here looking, you can look down in there and you can see that knife blade sliding in there. I'm not really a fan of that, of having any metal touching my knife blade when it's going in and out or snapping against it. Maybe that's a little thing, but I'm not a big fan of that. But it's never really hurt anything on this knife. And what I started doing on later on knives is going in there and putting my own little piece of leather on the back of that when I have a sheath that has that kind of thing and don't have something. And some of the time they had put pieces of plastic that snapped in back there, or that had a piece of leather on it or something from the factory. But sometimes they don't. So I don't really care for that. And also, if you look here, that rivet right there would be touching your handle, which has never really hurt this knife, the Coca-Cola, but in theory, you don't want that metal touching your handle. But anyway, so far no problem. Here's the knife itself. They got about a 4.5-inch blade roughly. And this squad leader style is a clip point that they'd come out with several years ago. And if you can see mine, I'm going to try to hold it up there to get it. It's the first production run. So it's the first time they ever made the squad leaders right there. And the first ones that come out was in A2. They've made them in 3V and changed the style a little bit. About to drop it there. Changed the style a little bit on them when they did 3V, and they put a fuller in there, and they took this back here off the handle. That's where you can put a strap, a different kind of lanyard that's more like a strap lanyard on the back right here. I actually like that. They've got it on some other models of knives they have. This is the only one I have that has it. Instead of just having that one little lanyard hole, they have that where you can actually put a wider strap or strap it onto something. I like that. And if you wanted to, you could use it to hit something with without hurting the back, which I don't really do that, but I'm just saying you could. Fit and finish on this knife, well, it's about I believe it's a 1/4 inch thick. Yep, it's a 1/4 inch exactly thick, so 250 on the spine. And fit and finish on this one is decent. Reason I say the thickness of it too is that it makes for a good wide handle. That thick blade in there, I like a good thick handle to fill my hand up, and so this just fits my hand pretty good. And you can do it in different holds. I could choke up on this knife pretty easy if I needed to. So it's the Bravo handle, and of course that's comfortable and secure. But they did something right here, and I've never really found out exactly what that's for. Some people said maybe for putting a fire steel in there and striking it. I don't really know. I never really found out what that design feature is for, but it is rounded like a fire steel. So anyway, that might be what that's for. But anyway, then it comes down to here. It's got just a very little notch for a sharpening notch right there, almost non-existent. But what that did do by having that like that is it made these plunge grinds on the knife. It made them have somewhere to have their plunge grinds start. And so them are really even right there, where Bark Rivers, a lot of my knives, most of them are never even right there. They're off. They won't be the same. This one's the same because they had that big plate of metal right there, I guess, just to go out. That's my theory of why they did that one so good and never do any other ones that good, except rarely. Now up here it's got a swedge, clip point with that swedge. Swedge is a little bit funny on this knife here. It's pretty decent, but this part goes back a little bit further than that side. The swedge is not exactly perfect on it, so it makes this line right here where the swedge comes up to the full height. That's a little bit angled if you're looking at it from the top. And I'm going to try to show that. So that it's not perfect. And you can look at the pins there. This is the only knife I have mosaic pins on, but I really do like that Cocobolo, but I don't have it on any other knife. And I really hadn't seen a lot of Cocobolo on the Bark Rivers lately, but something they used to have. And I got the mosaic pins on that one, and this was kind of before I was really getting 2 knives every time, or I wouldn't even get one. I'd still get one and think, okay, later on I'll fill in the gap and get me another one to match it. But this one here, I just have the one. It's A2 steel, so it does have a pretty good bit of patina on there, and it's even getting a spot right there. I should probably hit it with flits or something. I don't really polish any of my A2 knives up or anything. I just let them get that patina, but if they start getting any spot on them, then I would try to get that off. So this knife, I would say, is just an all-around using knife. It's pretty heavy, a real thick blade, but it's not very long, but it just lays in your hand real good. Pretty comfortable, and I like it okay. But I do have to say, other than these couple of knives in that style that I showed you before, I've got a couple of these that are just like that, the Bravo 1.5s with the curly maple on them. Other than them 2 knives that I told you before in another video that I really have never used to cut anything, this knife has been used the least of any of my knives. For whatever reason, I got this knife and I've just not much used it. I mean, it will cut stuff and it will do fine. I mean, you can cut something like an orange pretty easy with it. I mean, it'll just go right through. Of course, the A2 steel, I've got it hair popping sharp and stuff, of course, because A2 just polishes right up. But yeah, this will just cut right through. Of course, most any knife will cut an orange, but it'll cut through an orange really well. But I guess one of the main things is will it peel an apple, because I feel like that's the dexterity of a knife and how you can use it. I'll try to put this at an angle to where I can show you. This seems like a big knife, thick and a deep blade. What I mean by deep blade is that right there. It's not thin. It's a thick blade both that way and the blade height. Now it'll peel the apple pretty good. You can see that strip I got off there. I can peel that whole apple. Very thin strips on it, so it's really usable. Handle's very comfortable on it. I mean, I can just grab that handle. Of course, it's the Bravo handle, so of course it's comfortable and easy to use. So overall, I'd say it's a good knife. The fit and finish is not absolutely perfect on it, but pretty decent fit and finish. And the things that I do like about this knife, I like that swedge up here because I feel like that helps the point. And I've got theories on that. One thing, it makes it a little stabbier, but I think a point with a swedge, I feel like it's a little stronger. And I've got my theories on that. So I like that about the knife. I like this lanyard place back here. And having that high blade height, I feel like even though it's a thick knife, it slices pretty good because they start to grind up here at saber grind, but it's a high saber grind because you got such a high blade. So if you think about it that way, they're starting from up here and going at a certain angle down through there to zero. Then with the higher the blade is, the taller, then you're going to have a thinner profile down through there, a thinner edge overall, and it'll slice better. So despite being a really thick knife, 1/4 inch thick, really strong, I mean, you could beat this knife around and not hurt it. It's slices really well. A2 steel sharpens really well. So overall, I like this knife, and I think it's good design, and it's a good knife. But that being said, it's just not one that I grab most of the time when I'm doing stuff for whatever reason. So there you have it. Bark River Squad Leader. Coca-Cola handles. Mosaic pins. And it is the first production run.